One of the most interesting stories about Herod, who was a very complicated person, dangerous, huge ego, great builder. But one of the most interesting stories and questions that comes out of Herod is his rebuilding of the Second Temple. Why would Herod, who was only nominally connected to the Jewish people, descended of Idumean converts, why would he spend so much effort to rebuild the Second Temple? Besides the obvious explanation that Herod loved to build and loved to build big. There's a fascinating story in the Talmud which describes how Herod, who we know is a very brutal and paranoid person, had killed out anyone he viewed as being in competition with him. And his biggest competition, actually, was the Sanhedrin, the rabbis. He murdered most of them out. But there's a story in the Talmud that he left one rabbi, Bava ben Buta, alive, having blinded him. And one day Herod literally bumps into Bava ben Buta, and he's looking for a pretext to kill him. So he hides who he is, and he tells Bava ben Buta, Bava ben Buta, great rabbi, look what Herod, that bum, did to you. Boy, he starts cursing him. He tries to get Bava ben Buta to say something negative about Herod. And God knows Bava ben Buta had what to say negative about Herod, but Bava ben Buta also knew the laws of Lashon Hara, the laws of correct speech. And there's a wonderful interaction in the Talmud where time and time again, Herod tries to get him to badmouth him so he can have a pretext to arrest him and have him killed. And Bava ben Buta doesn't say anything wrong. He knows his laws of Lashon Hara. And in a rare moment of contrition, Herod, the general story of his life was, too little too late, he feels bad and wants to change it. He says, if I had known how careful the rabbis were with their mouths, I would have honored them rather than killing them. And we learn a great lesson from that, which is the power of correct speech. That speech can destroy and speech can build. It's the most powerful tool of the human intellect. But the story goes on, it's fascinating. Herod then asks Bava ben Buta, well, what can I do to make amends? And Bava ben Buta explains to him that, Torah is the light of the Jewish people, and the people who transmit Torah are the source of the light, the rabbis. And you, Herod, killed most of them out. The temple's also a source of spirituality and enlightenment, and the temple's been greatly neglected. Maybe you'll rebuild it. So Herod hears building project, all the lights in his head go off, and probably Bava ben Buta was a bit freaked out. Oh my God, Herod's going to destroy the Second Temple, and then he'll change his mind, or he'll die, or he'll run out of money, and I'll be the one who's going to be blamed for destroying the temple. But thank God this time Herod was true to his word. He put the money aside, he quarried the stone in advance, he trained 1,000 priests as stonemasons to actually rebuild the temple. And he built that amazing retaining wall that took 10,000 men, 11 years to build it. And afterwards he built the temple on top of it. And when he was finished, he created the largest functioning religious site on the planet Earth. Until today, the largest platform on the planet Earth is the Temple Mount. And so beautiful was that building that the rabbis, who were so persecuted by Herod, and were certainly not in his fan club, even they say in the Talmud that he who hasn't seen the house of Herod hasn't seen a house. And they weren't talking about his palace in Caesarea. They were talking about the temple in Jerusalem, which was truly one of the wonders of the ancient world.